didn't, huh? Alright, let me just tell you what this Manah Shodhanam is. So, it is always good to have the framework clear in your mind regarding spirituality in Sanatana Dharma. And the framework is like this. See, our goal is mukti. And so this is the first point. We have no other goal. The goal is mukti only. See, you may have many subsidiary goals, and one of the challenges in spirituality also is to find out how all your subsidiary goals should lead to this main goal. Or whatever you are doing in your life, if you haven't figured out how that is going to lead to the main goal, it means that you are not on the spiritual path. Only when you have figured out what you are doing now, how it feeds into the main goal, then you are on the spiritual path. If you are just pursuing something in the world and you have not figured that out, you are still on the worldly path. So, the main goal then is mukti, and our shastras in Sanatana Dharma, they have no other goal. If you want to become rich, you just work hard, you don't need shastras. There are many atheist people who become rich also, correct or not? So if you want to become rich, you don't need shastras. Absolutely not. In fact, shastras might be a hindrance, it will confuse you. If you want to become healthy, then you live a healthy lifestyle. That is all. See, you don't need to be studying shastras and praying to God, "Oh Bhagavan, you please make me healthy, wealthy and wise." There is no need. All of these things you can get from just pursuing a nice, proper, worldly living only. So, we see that there are many people in the world who never have shastras and all. They are fit and healthy, they are wealthy also, and they are, in terms of the world, very wise. Means they know how to maneuver their way in this world. So for those things we don't need shastras. So that is why I was telling, we have only one goal in Sanatana Dharma, that thing is mukti. And one more thing about that mukti now. If you do a little study of the scriptures, you will see, actually today we have a double problem. Before I continue, double problem is, this speaker box is here and there are people sitting way over there, so I'm hoping that everybody is hearing. See, no, they're not hearing there. And those of you who are at the back who are not hearing, there are some seats up front. If you can come up, it might be better. Okay, so the other problem is, you still haven't gotten used to my thick Caribbean accent. But it will come slowly. Alright. So if you study the Shastras a little bit about this thing called as mukti, if you have heard some Shastra, Shastra means scriptures. I'm deliberately doing this wherever I'm going, I'm using Sanskrit words. Because of this reason, Sanskrit belongs to you. Sanskrit is your inheritance. So the more Sanskrit words you use, better, because the Sanskrit words cannot be translated properly into English. So all the common words, if you can, instead of using the word scriptures, if you use the word Shastra, it has so many broad connotations. As you go along, you will learn those words. So just use the Sanskrit word only. Like we don't say heaven and hell, you remove those words from your vocabulary. And we use Swarga and Narak because they don't mean the same thing. Swarga, Narak, like that. Alright, anyway. So if we have studied Shastras a little bit about this word mukti, then we'll realize that the Shastra itself says, all of us, we are Nitya Mukta. Nitya Mukta means I am free already. I am all the time free. Like, for example, we have put up these walls here, and we have bound this space. But that is seemingly so. It seems as though we have bound this space, and now we call it hall space. But really, this space and the space outside, they are still one and same. So this space seems to have been bound, and all the other space outside free. They are not bound. But it is not so. The walls which we put up there, the walls are 8 inches thick, like this, right? In America it will be 14 inches thick. In this country just about 8 inches thick, because we don't have to insulate for winter and all that. So 8 inches, the space which the wall has taken up, that space has not gone anywhere. That space is still there. And so when we remove the wall, the 8 inches of space is still there or not? It is there. We cannot remove space. And we cannot dissect space. We appear to dissect. This space and the 8 inches in the wall and the space outside can never be broken up. They always remain same. In the same way, the Atma in this body and the Paramatma, which we call as all-pervasive, is one and same. It is just that this is the 8 inches of Atma, which is conditioned by this body, like the 8 inches of space which is conditioned by the wall. So all of these bodies which we are seeing everywhere, it has conditioned some bit of that Paramatma. That conditioned Paramatma is called as Atma. Like the space 8 inches which is taken up by the wall, it will be called wall space, but it is no different from the space inside and the space outside. So a little bit of thinking in this direction when we have done, the scriptures conclude, look, you are looking for mukti, but you are nitya mukta. I am all the time mukta, free. But Swamiji, I don't feel I am free, I feel I am nitya bandha. I am all the time bound, because I am bound to sorrow, I am bound to disease, I am bound to birth and death, I am bound to misery, I am bound to disappointment, I am bound to tamas, especially in the morning time. I am bound to pain. I cannot get rid of these things. These things bind me. All the things which I just called, this is called bondage. Sorrow, pain, misery, disease, birth, death, old age, disappointment, anguish. But how many of them are there? All this together, if you actually summarize all of them into one word, it's called dukkha, sorrow. That is the aspect of them that we don't like. Okay, so the scriptures are telling, I am nitya mukta. I am all the time free. How many contradictory things? One is, I am all the time free. I feel that I am bound. But even the scripture is telling I am free, I am feeling I am bound. Second thing is, I am nitya mukta and I am still looking for mukti. All of us are looking for liberation, enlightenment, or whatever you want to call it. Nirvana, if you are Buddhist. People are looking for some sort of freedom, looking for some sort of, and my nature is nitya mukta, I am all the time free. So a lot of contradictions seem to appear there. So the reason for this is, and now see, I'll go back to, I started by telling you a framework now. So I am looking for mukti. The scriptures tell our goal is only mukti, and scriptures also tell I am nitya mukta. So this jiva who is nitya mukta, he is feeling bondage and sorrow and not free. He is not feeling nitya mukta. That is because, and this is the second element now of this framework, that is because this jiva has something called as ajnana, ignorance, avidya. At the individual level like this, it is called as avidya. At the cosmic level, it is called as maya. At our level, it is called as avidya. So in Nitya Mukta, looking for mukti, contradiction of course in its own, because he has ajnan. That is like, you see, like the lady who Bhagavan Shankaracharya gives, the wife is wearing that necklace and asking the husband, have you seen my necklace anywhere? Have you seen my necklace anywhere? And then the husband has to tell her, hey, you are wearing it. Then when she looks down, now see, there, all that is there is ignorance of the already present necklace. So in the very same way, the jiva who is nitya mukta, jiva means you and I, who is nitya mukta, there is ignorance of his nitya mukta state. Eternal state of mukti. I am ignorant of it, just like the lady is ignorant of her. And so the husband tells, but you are wearing it. And then she has to look down and oh. When the knowledge dawns, the ignorance goes away. She doesn't get the necklace. She already had it. It is not something that we get. It was already there. All she has to do is come to realize. That is why we call it realization. You see? So now, this jiva has this ignorance. So the first thing was, I am nitya mukta. The second thing will be, he has ignorance. And it is this ignorance now which causes all the different types of impurities of the mind, and which we suffer at different levels. So now this ignorance, jiva means nitya mukta jiva, and ignorance. Now under that ignorance, I'll just tell some easy things. That thing, the first one is called a moha delusion. Delusion. In Sanskrit called moha. Now under that is called as aham and mama, me and mine. And under that me and mine now is our everyday workaday, all durgunas which we have in ourselves and which we see in everybody else. A whole plethora of them here down on the And it's called desire and anger and greed and jealousy and malice and all the other things which you see every day, which you yourself harbor and express, and which we see we yourself harbor and express, and we see other people also harboring and expressing on a daily basis. All this Kam, Krodh, Mad, Lobh, Moha, Matsara, Ityadi, all of them in Sanskrit they are called. So now, this level of impurities of the mind here, then the middle level here, which is called me and mine. I am simplifying all of this. And then the highest level, which is called as moha delusion, which is in ordinary language also quite akin to ignorance and all. You don't have to do much work here. The work is to be done down here, and this aham and mama. And you see, we also cannot. How many people you think will be able to go and do a PhD if they have not gone to high school in their whole life? That will be virtually impossible, isn't it? How you will do PhD if you have not gone to high school? So we have to now go through this high school and really concentrate on all of these impurities here. Kama, Krodh, Lobh, desire, anger, greed, jealousy, malice, arrogance. And we are very familiar with all of them. We don't have to know, we don't have to be tutored or anything. Everybody knows that. See, when you're at the traffic light and it light changes it to green, and the man in front of you doesn't drive, and you're busy to get to some place, and the man in front of you doesn't drive off immediately, then what you do? Just like in India, blowing horn is music. In America, blowing horn is an insult, isn't it? So that insult is an extension of krodh. Krodh means anger. You see? So this type of, and people tell me all the time, wherever I am traveling, we hear the same thing. Swamiji, because question and answer will be there. And always in question and answer, one question which comes up all the time. How do I exist in my office where the environment is toxic? I am hearing this word all the time. What is the word? Toxic environment. I say you ask that question from a little distance, because you might bring the toxin here also. No, I'm just joking. But people say the environment is toxic. Well, it is all of these malice and jealousy and pride and all the things. It is this level which is so prevalent everywhere. Right. So now this Guruji has given a very nice text here. This thing is called as Manah Shodhanam. A text which is meant to remove all of these impurities of the mind. And why we have to remove them? Oh, this is a very simple thing. I told the Shastras of Sanatana Dharma only has this mukti in mind, nothing else. And this mukti is impossible, means for me to know that I am nitya mukta, I have to remove all these impurities. That is all. All these various levels of impurities. Otherwise I'll never know that. Okay, let me change that statement a little bit. I will know, like just now I told you, and then I'm nitya mukta. So we'll know like that only. But that knowing and non-knowing is same. Doesn't make any difference. You see? Like for example, before you came to Trinidad, everybody explained to you what it doubles. Now, that knowing and no knowing is the same. But when you came here and you had the doubles, for those of you who came yesterday, I don't think everybody was there. There's still so many people who only not knowing and knowing is the same. But there are many who know now. You see? So there are two different types of knowing. Like that. One is just hearsay knowing, or what you call, okay, I memorized that. Yes, I know that. We've studied this text and we've studied that text and studied so many things. We know. And the other type of knowing really is the knowing that comes from anubhuti, means from experience. Yeah. So we have heard and we know from that standpoint. For me to have anubhuti, experiential knowledge, I must have this Manah Shodhanam. I must purify this mind. So this text is for that purpose. Now, some people will say, but Swamiji, now you are really complicated things, Because in any case, in the first instance, I did not want any mukti also. I don't know why you told me now. I just wanted to continue with my life, as it is, and forget about all the mukti business. Now you have really made it complex. Well, let me just deal with that a little bit, and then we'll see this text. Because people say that, no, I just wanted to find out some little bit of knowledge from the scriptures, from the Shastras and all, so that I will be, a better householder, better parent, better employee, better citizen, whatever like that. I didn't want all this mukti business, and you're really gone too far. I'll tell you, whether you know it or not, whether we know or understand or accept or we are cognizant of, it doesn't matter. Really, all human beings, knowingly or unknowingly, are seeking mukti only. We don't have to know. See here. We want happiness or bliss or ananda 365 days a year. We don't want sorrow even one day. And this is clear indication that all jivas, including an ant or an elephant, all seek mukti only. Because mukti is the state where I have ananda bliss 365 days. And we all want that only. See, if we 364 days, we keep you in the best 7-star hotel and treat you the best and give you everything you want, and a helicopter also to go touring and whatever you want. And the last day, only 365th day, we take you behind the hotel and give you a good sound beating. And then we say, but all the other days you were treated so nicely, one day you cannot take beating. One day also you cannot take beating. Who wants? No. Many people say, yeah, I could try it. I can try. Let me tell you something, not only one day, last day, 1 hour. Forget 1 hour, 1 minute. For 1 minute constantly, if you get good beating, you will not want. That means what? We want permanent, what do you call nitya sukham. Sukham, happiness that has no end. And so consciously or unconsciously, all jivas want mukti, because that state which we are talking about is mukti only. So even if you say that I'm really not interested in mukti and all that kind of thing, I just want some, something to make my life better, it is not true. So now, what I'm saying is, what we have to figure out, since unconsciously, consciously, whichever way I want mukti, what I'm saying is, now you have to find out how, through what you are doing in your everyday, workaday world, how that thing is going to fit into your grand program of mukti. That will be your life's challenge, to make sure that fits. And as we are going along, we study this Manah Shodhanam, the purification of mind, because this is what is going to eventually give me this, or make me realize that I am Nitya Mukta. Now see, I will chant. I don't know if, since you don't have the text, you might not be able to repeat. I'll say slowly, try to repeat. Paramatma Dvayanandaha. Very good. Sarvabhutha Sthito Piha. Ajnanena vrito drishtaha. Tatheva cha manomalaihi. See, sarvabhuta sthitaha apiha, even though, actually, this is said in simple language. What is that? That the Paramatma Dvayananda, the one non-dual reality, self, dwells equally in all of us, in all beings. This first line, that is a summary of what I was telling just now. My nature is Nitya Mukta. If that is summarized, it will amount to that. What? My nature is Nitya Mukta, I am already Mukta. My nature is Satchit, Satchit Ananda only. So this is what the first line is saying. But even so, he says, Ajnanena Avrita Adrishtaha. I don't see it, I don't recognize it, I don't realize it, because Ajnanena, Avidyayaha, by avidya, due to avidya, ignorance. Like the lady wearing the necklace. I'm sure you would have had some such experience in life, where This just happened to me just now only. Oh, just now I was telling them, one fellow, he drove up to his garage, stopped in front. When you know in America what you do, you drive up there and then you press some, and then the garage door opens, and he looked inside. And oh my God, somebody stole my car. Harry, you're driving the car, but he's seeing the garage door open, garage empty, and the first reaction is somebody stole his car. Well, just now I opened my bag and I was looking for my glasses, but I was wearing them. In life, I'm sure you would have gone through some such thing at some time. So that time, all those instances, really, it is not the acquisition of anything that has to happen. It is just the realization has to happen. I already have it. Like that. So he says, Ajnanena avrita adrishtaha. I don't see my own, adrishta means unseen. I don't see my own Sat Chit Ananda self, which is of the nature of pure existence, consciousness, bliss. I don't see it. Why? Because of ajnan, because of ignorance. It is unseen, adrishtaha. And ajnani, by due to ignorance. And it says also due to tatha evacha manomalehi, due to impurities of the mind. Impurities of the mind. So now I am telling all these impurities which I talked about here, this level of the everyday workaday world impurities, anger and greed and jealousy and all of this, and then me and mine at this level, which is higher level, and then delusion and all of them have their progenitor as this thing called as ajnana, avidya, ignorance. They are all born from ignorance only. Now see, we say, why I have to get rid of all this calm, krodh, desire, anger, greed, jealousy, all of this, then me and mine are all, why don't I tackle this ignorance directly? I take the bull by the horns, as they say. Tackle ignorance directly. Well, you know, when they went to Lanka to remove Ravan, well, they can't remove Ravan just like that, isn't it? They have all foot soldiers, then they have all horse riders, soldiers on horses, soldiers on chariots, soldiers on elephants, and then Meghnad and Kumbhakaran, and finally Ravan. So, on the first day, if they could have gotten to Ravan, they could have removed Ravan and just like that, and then everybody would have run away and all that. Our king is dead, our king is surrender. But they could not remove Ravan. They could not remove Duryodhan in one day. He is the last to die. And every Hindi film is like that also. Have you seen? They removed Gabbar Singh's last man to die only. They remove everybody else. Well, this is exactly the same thing. They all study Shastras only. That's how they got all this Gabbar Singh and all. So, they remove all the foot soldiers and all the different. So here also we have to remove all these calm, krodh, lobh and all. Finally only we can remove this ajnan. Huh? So, why don't we know our own self? Ajnanena vritam avritaha adrishtaha. We don't see our own self because of ajnan. And because, two things he's saying. Huh? But I'm telling the relationship between the two. He's saying ajnan and all the impurities of the mind. I'm saying the ajnana is the cause for all the impurities. I'm just making that connection for you. Okay? Right. Now number 2. See this. I'm chanting again. See if you can repeat. Jnanena tu tadajnane nashte bhati swayam hisaha Satyame tathapiha Kashtamekam cha vartate. Now, when that ajnan is removed, ajnan, jnanena tu tadajnane nashte. When the ajnan is removed by jnan, then bhati swayam hi saha, I realize, I was not bound. I am the eternal, self-shining Paramatma. My nature is like that. Sat, Chit, Ananda. I realize that only. When and only when I remove that ignorance by knowledge. Then Satyametathapīha Kashtamekam. He said, but even though this is true, it is very difficult thing to do. See, it is easy to say, like in English language we said, easier said than done, yeah. It is easy to say, okay, when I remove this ajnan from my mind, I will realize I am self. All that is very nice and easy. But when you try, little bit of ajnan also we cannot remove, How many things are required? How many things we have to do to remove this ajnan? Sometimes, even when somebody is telling the truth, also, we don't know the truth. Somebody telling the truth, we doubt that fellow also. Hey, you don't know. Especially if it's our close friend or, if it's our spouse. No spouse believes any other spouse. How you know, Swamiji, you don't have any spouse? People ask like that. Because when I meet the two spouses, one spouse asks me the question in front of the other spouse. And when I tell the answer, the other spouse says, Swamiji, I was telling that, they did not believe me. It happens every time. So even when the truth is given, many times we don't accept. And so if we don't accept, the truth which was given will not remove the ignorance which I have inside. So how difficult this thing. That's why it says, Kashtamekam chavartate. It's very difficult to do this. Removing all of these impurities. Now you think, I said, no, it is easier said than done. When we have calm, cruel, desire, anger, greed, and all, at this bottom level also so difficult. What to talk of me and mine, and then ignorance and all of that. One durguna or one impurity, like calm or like cruel, so easily I get angry. And many people are also, what we call, proud of their anger. They say, hey, don't get me angry, Because if you get me angry, you will see a horse of a different color. This is a Trinidad language. I don't know if it's there in English also. You heard it? Yeah? This is there in Trinidad. I don't know what is there in America. Don't get me angry. Means to say he's proud of his anger. Now he's telling. If you get me angry, you will see a... So anyway, to get rid of one of them even is so difficult. How much of presence of mind and how much of watching and how much of observation of our own, what drives us and all. So we have to do a lot of that. So he says, Kashtam. It's very difficult to remove all these impurities. But we have to go on striving. We have to go on trying. Now, he reinforces this idea that if we don't get rid of these impurities, there is no realization of my own self. He tells number 3, Yavan malanakshiyante. Yavan malanakshiyante. Manaso raga rupakaha. Manaso raga rupakaha. Tavan tattva jignasa. Tavan tattva jignasa. Jayate manushe hridi. Jayate manushe hridi. Now, Guruji tells a very nice thing. In beginning, I had hinted at this in a different way. There is something called as Tattva Jignasa. Tattva Jignasa. Tattva Jignasa means desire for liberation, desire for enlightenment, desire for mukti. Desire, literally desire to know the reality, to know myself, to know the tattva, the essence of the universe. That is what it is called. So I'm telling, all of us have that desire, just we don't know. Because that is the only way I will actualize my desire to be happy 24/7. That innate desire, intrinsic desire of every human being, not a human being, we say, every jiva, every creature, an ant also. That ant also doesn't want to be miserable. An ant or a bird, no creature wants to be miserable. Wants to have pain or anguish. So, the only way that thing can be realized is to realize myself. That realization of oneself is called as Tattva Jijnasa. So he says, even that desire to realize oneself, to gain mukti, that desire will not arise in a person unless these impurities of the mind persist in its conscious desire. It is there unconsciously. But as long as these impurities persist in, strong fashion, that desire will not come. I want mukti. And that, therefore you see, when people Vibhishan was there in Lanka. And Vibhishan is a bhakta of Bhagavan. He's a devotee of Lord Ram. And he never got up one day to go and look for Ram. Even though he was worshipping Ram every day, he never got up to do some seva for Bhagavan Ram because Rama's wife was kidnapped and brought there. He did not go and try to do anything. Isn't it? But one day Ravan gave him a kick. You know the story? Ravan gave him a good kick. And when he gave him a good kick, then he went to Bhagavan Ram. He went searching for Bhagavan Ram. Well, have you heard in the Gita Dhyanam, when you are chanting Bhagavan Shri Krishna, he is called as Totra Vetraika Pane. Pane means hand. Totra Vetraika Pane means one who carries the whip in his hand. So sometimes spirituality might be harsh like that, Bhagavan is carrying a whip in his hand, and you see all the devis and devtas and all have swords and trishul and all sorts of things like that, isn't it? So Bhagavan carries a whip in his hand because that whip or the sword or whatever you see, all the weapon, that represents Bhagavan Prakriti. This nature. The world in which we are living is Prakriti. And Bhagavan himself is telling, my dear, tad vidhi pranipatena paripashnena sevaya. You know that truth. Realize the truth. Approach some guru and surrender and do seva and know the truth. So he's telling nicely like that. And for the one who doesn't listen, then it means his Prakriti will give a kick like how Vibhishan got a kick. The one who doesn't listen, in Trinidad language, before you leave, learn this phrase. Who don't hear, go feel. And if you don't remember, you ask Shankar and Suman. They studied in this country. Who don't hear, go feel. Means if you don't listen properly and follow what Bhagavan, know the truth Bhagavan is telling. Tad vidhi. So the one who doesn't do that voluntarily nicely, then Prakriti gives this happens all the time. So you will see so many people turn to this spiritual path, develops jijnasa, only when he gets a good blow. So why wait till I get some blow from, like Vibhishan? Do it before. He could have gotten up before and gone there. But he had too much of consideration for Ravan. He had a lot of consideration for Ravan. for people who are not good and things that are not good, like that. So Ravan gave a kick. When we have too much consideration for the Prakriti and all that, that happens also. So anyway, that's another topic. So he says, until I develop this jnana, I will not pursue mukti. And I'm telling, there are 2 ways to develop this jnana now. We listen to Bhagwan's nice words. His words are very sweet also. Bhagwan is telling, my dear, you pursue this thing called mukti. And the second way is, you listen to Bhagwan, and the second way is, wait till he. So that is sad thing if you have to wait till. Right. So until the impurities of the mind, he said, this verse telling, what we call thinned out, means weakened to a great extent, we will not develop this desire for mukti. And there are ways to do that. Okay. He also gives an example of the type of impurities. Now see, I was telling there are so many words in the scriptures, and I gave you kind of framework like this, and I use certain words, but you will hear so many other words also. That doesn't mean that. See, the 2 words which Guruji uses are very nice, 2 nice words called Raga, Rupakaha. They come together, Raga Dvesh. Raga Dvesh is connected to this whole layer of impurities which I told you at the bottom here. There's another way to tell. Raga Dvesh, likes and dislikes. Raga Dvesh. So it's all these impurities. Because see, I'll show you how it is all the same. Look here. If I have calm, means I have desire for something, right? So can I hate that thing and have desire for it? Dvesh, I have dvesh for it, I hate that thing. I dislike that thing and have desire. No, I have to like that thing, isn't it? Then only I have desire. So it is connected. These are just different ways to summarize the whole layer of this impurities here called Raga, Dvesh. Okay, now number 4. I'm going fast because I think I have to finish this text by this camp. This person comes to the spiritual path by these 2 means, either by I listen to what the Lord is saying, or I get a blow from the society and from the Prakriti, whatever, and then I come on the spiritual path. But even if I come on the spiritual path and I study and I do all of this thing, he makes a very good distinction between book knowledge and the same knowledge, anubhuti, which I was talking about. There is something called book knowledge and there is something called anubhuti. Means I can know things by rote and by heart and and all that, but really experiencing that and abiding in my own self as Satchitananda and all the time feeling my own Satchitananda Swarup, that is not such an easy thing. That thing is called as abidance. Bhagwan Sri Ramana Rishi used to talk about this so much. So now he hints at this thing. All this is still introduction to this text. Even in Guruji's terms, it's all introduction to this text. He'll come back to it, to the main topic just now. Number 4. Kathan chidyadi jayeta. Kathan chidyadi jayeta. Tatvecha purva karmataha. Tatvecha purva karmataha. Bodho pijayate yadva. Bodho pijayate yadva. Tannistha naiva sambhavet. Tannistha naiva sambhavet. Katanchit yadi jayeta tattva ichha, if even by some chance I've done many good things in my past lives and all that kind of thing, and I developed a desire for mukti. Actually, it's a very good hint also. See, suppose I don't have desire for mukti now. I started by telling that many people don't have any desire for mukti and all. We say I come to spirituality, I will get some blessings from that Mahatma or whoever is there. I'm going there, I get his darshan, I get some blessing, and that will help me. I might get a promotion in my job. And when we get the darshan, and then we get the blessings and all, and we go and we really get a promotion in the job, then we connect this thing to that thing. We're very good at making wrong connections. We connect this thing to that thing. But anyway, over many lifetimes, I've done some good karma, and somehow in this lifetime now, I have a desire for mukti, and I pursue this path and all, getting rid of all these impurities and watching my mind and meditating and doing japa and all these things that we do, all the spirituality that we practice, right? I do it. He says, still, bodhopi jayate yadva tan nishtha na eva sambhavet. It means abiding in that Supreme Self is not so easy. Abiding in my own self is not such an easy thing. I'll give you an example. See, when I was a kid, we went to see a movie here. That movie was called Raja or Rank. It's a black and white movie. So what happened? I'm not telling the whole movie, I'm telling an example only. In Raja or Rank, the midwife stole one of the babies. Midwife who were doing delivery stole one of the babies from the palace and took to the village or sold or whatever. So two princes were born, they were twins. And there are too many Hindi films like this, Ram or Sham or Sita or Gita, Raja or Rank are all same thing only. Anyway, so that queen did not know she had twins. And so one prince was brought up in the palace and one prince was brought up in the village. Rank means a beggar, like pauper. Rank. And there's Raja here. So Raja or Rank. Now, all the Hindi films of that type, they end up in the same way only. They will meet some time later on and then he'll find out, I'm prince, I'm not a pauper. I'm a prince. Now, all his life he grew up in the village. And then he has a certain way of living his life, and all his habits and traits and characteristics and behavior and all those things will be like village people. And here, this prince who was brought up in the palace, his behavior and all his activities and all things, that will be in a certain way, right? Now, this fellow from the village, he gets the knowledge at some point in that movie that I am prince. And he comes back to the palace and meets and he sees his other brother and they're like carbon copy, And then he moves into the palace, which actually happened in the movie also. Now see, it will be a good while for this rank before he can really start behaving and acting and doing all the things that a prince does, isn't it? All the duties and all things in a palace and how, etiquette and what we call that, other one, protocol. When this one comes and that one, you have to behave in a certain way, and how long it will take him? And this fellow sits by the dining table with nice, cutlery and this and that fellow, he sits on the floor. So he'll forget and he'll take his food and go and sit there until they say, hey, come here and sit here. Now he has also assumed the role of a prince. He has moved into the palace and he's met his mother and father and all of that. But his normal behavior of the village will take a long while before it. goes away. You see. So in the same way, this is what he's trying to tell here. Bodhaha api jayate yadva. Even though I know that I am Satchitananda, my nature is pure existence, bliss only, it will be a while before that thing really sits in and I get settled in it, then nishtha, and I really start manifesting that truth through my behavior and my actions and all of that. It takes time. So this is all about this mukti thing, you see? Alright. So now I think all my time has gone away. I will chant one more verse and then we will pick up this in the next class. Now I have looked at the timetable to see when my next class will. Whenever it is, you are not going anywhere, I am not going anywhere, we are here only. Now chant this number 5 and we'll end. Nishtha bhavat paranandah. Nishtha bhavat paranandah. Jivan muktasya yoginah. Jivan muktasya yoginah. Sadhakairnanubhuyeta. Sadhakairnanubhuyeta. Viphalam tarhi sadhanam. Viphalam tarhi sadhanam. Nishtha abhavat paranandah jivan muktasya yoginah. So this yogi has an experience of pure bliss when he has an abidance in his own self. When he abides in his own self, he has experience of pure bliss. He says in the last line, sadhakaihi na anubhuyeta viphalam tarhi sadhanam. That if I don't reach that state, all my sadhana has gone to zero. Like, you go there. Now we have, maybe we should take you there to show you. We have vegetables growing on that side there, right? So you go there and you dig and you take out some cassava root, tapioca and all that kind of thing, and you come here, you peel it, and so how much digging and all, peeling, and then you boiling and cooking and this and that and everything you put there, and then you don't eat. You die from hunger. But all that work that you did, that went to waste. Like that easy. I do all of this sadhana, but finally I don't gain a nishtha in that self. He says all that viphalam, all this sadhana bore no fruit. Alright, okay, so we'll take up this thing from there tomorrow. Tomorrow I think, I don't know, maybe next day, whichever day. Okay, Hari Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.